In this lecture, I will going to discuss mostly about the equivalent representation. But before that, I will remind you the previous topics which I covered in my earlier lectures. So at first, let me clear that what do you mean by representation. A representation D is the sum of matrix Dx of a group G is an assignment of a non-singular square n by n matrix Dx to each element x belonging to G. So for each of the element x belonging to G, there is some representation matrix Dx corresponding to the element x, such that Di is equal to In, that is the unit matrix, and Dx into Dy is equal to D of xy. This is for any two elements x and y belonging to G. That is, the matrices multiply in the same way as the group elements they represent. And this is the definition of the representative matrix or matrix representation. And we have also discussed a problem which is very important. Suppose if you consider the four element abelian group such as 1, I, minus 1 and minus I, and if we just find that what is the representation for the elements in this group, so these are the representation matrix for each of the elements. For example, D of 1, that is representation matrix corresponding to the element 1 is this, and Di, that is representation matrix corresponding to I is this one. Similarly, for D of minus 1 is this one, and D of minus I is this one. So all these are the matrix representation for the set 1, I, minus 1 and minus I. Now an n-dimensional representation of G is a homomorphism of G into the set of invertible n into n matrices. So this concept is very important, because we have already discussed about the concept of homomorphism in earlier lectures, and I request you to go through that concept again, so that this particular sentence will be clear then, because an n-dimensional representation of G is a homomorphism of G into the set of invertible n into n matrices. So this is this matrix representation is basically a type of homomorphism, and the n into n matrices that have inverses or equivalently have non-zero determinants. So what is the meaning of invertible here? Invertible n into n matrices means that is n into n matrices that have inverses or equivalently have non-zero determinants, and this matrix representation we can consider as a homomorphism of G. This set is usually known as the general linear group and denoted by GLN. So this particular matrix representation can be considered as a linear group. In general, the same matrix may represent more than one element of G. So in matrix representation, what can happen? That a particular matrix may represent more than one element of G. Actually, this happens in homomorphism, we know that from the definition. If, however, all the matrices representing the elements of G are different, but it may also happen that all the matrices representing the elements of G are different, then the representation is said to be faithful. So when the representation will be faithful? When all the matrices representing the elements of G are different, and in that case the homomorphism becomes an isomorphism onto a subgroup of G of Ln. So we also know this, that is what is isomorphism. In case of isomorphism, there should be one-to-one correspondence, which we have already discussed in the lecture of homomorphism and isomorphism. There is a trivial representation which is known as dx is equal to in for all the elements x of G. Suppose it may happen that for all elements x of G, in all the cases dx is equal to in, that is dx is equal to a unit matrix. So for all the elements the representation is the unit matrix in. So in that case the definition for matrix representations hold and there is no restriction on the value of n. However, such a representation is not a faithful one, because we have already discussed that is what is the meaning of faithful. Faithful means that is there should be one-to-one correspondence. Each of the elements for each of the elements of G there should be a separate matrix representation, but in this case this is not hold. So that is why we are saying that is dx is equal to in is not a faithful representation. Now there is another important concept which is in the context of a rotation reflection group. We have already considered the symmetry group for an equilateral triangle, and the transposes of the set of n into n matrices dx that make up a representation D. So we have already discussed that is what do you know by representation. So dx is known as the representation matrix of the element x of a group G. So dx is the representation matrix. Now what is the role of the representation matrix? So D may be thought of as describing what happens to an n component basis vector of coordinates. Suppose in each case there is a basis vector. When we consider the concept of representation, in there we discussed about the basis vectors. So when we derive the representative matrix, there was some basis vectors. So suppose we are assuming that these basis vectors are coordinates, for example x, y, z in this way, and transpose of this, so we are writing t here, or it may be of some functions, that is psi 1, psi 2 in this way, and we are also considering the transpose, the psi I themselves being functions of the coordinate. This psi they are the function of the coordinate. So basis vectors may be directly coordinates or some function of the coordinates. And what we are considering, actually we are considering the effect of the group elements or the representations on this basis vector. So suppose you choose a group element x from the group G, and you observe that is what is happening for this particular basis vector. For example, if you consider the symmetry operations of an equilateral triangle, and let us consider a group element that is clockwise rotation by 2 pi by 3, that is capital R. Now suppose this is a group element that is rotation by 2 pi by 3, that is the element R. Now when the element R acts on the basis function, that is the coordinates, so these are the coordinates. So what happens actually, these transform this particular basis vector into a column matrix, and this particular fact I think we have read in the chapter classical mechanics, that is when some rotation operation acts on some basis vector, that then how they change. So after rotation, this particular set of basis vectors will be transformed to the new column matrix. So this is the new column matrix after the rotation R. So this is the new column matrix. You see that Z is unchanged here, but x and y they changed, and first two function has been written consisting of the basis functions x and y. However, if we consider the basis vector in this way, that is r square and 3z square minus r square, that is instead of considering such type of basis vectors, if we would consider the basis vectors in this way, that is suppose r square and 3z square minus r square. So in that case what happens, that is this particular basis vectors is unaltered. Why? Because the function r and z, that is neither r nor z, is changed by the rotation. So by in the rotation operation, neither r nor z is changed. So the fact is that Z is unchanged by any of the operations of the group. As Z is unchanged by any of the operations of the group. Group means we are considering the symmetry operation of an equilateral triangle. So as Z is unchanged by any of the operations of the group, shows that the components x, y, z, if we consider the three components of the coordinate, that is x, y, z, they actually divide. Divide means that is they are reducible to anticipate a more formal description into two sets. One comprises z, which is unchanged by any of the operations, and the other comprise x and y, which change as a pair into linear combination of themselves. So the coordinates x, y, z, they are reducible into two sets, or we can divide the coordinates into two sets. One comprises z, which is unchanged by any of the operations, and the other comprises x and y, which change as a pair into linear combinations of themselves. This is an important observation, and we will discuss it further in some subsequent lectures. Now we will discuss about the concept about equivalent representations. If D is an n-dimensional representation of a group G, suppose D is an n-dimensional representation of a group G, we have already discussed that is what do you mean by representation. And suppose Q is any fixed invertible n by n matrix for which mod of Q is not equal to 0. Then the set of matrices defined by the similarity transformation dqx is equal to Q inverse dx into Q. This is a similarity transformation. Also forms a representation dq of G said to be equivalent to D. So let me discuss it in a more clear way. That is, we have already defined that is what do you know by representation D for a element x. So suppose dx is the representation matrix corresponding to an element x of group G. Now we can find an equivalent representation of D. So how to find the equivalent representation? In that case, we need a similarity transformation, and the new representation matrix will be dqx. We are writing as dqx, and dqx is equal to Q inverse dx into Q. So what is Q here? Q is any fixed. You focus on the word that it is fixed and invertible. Invertible, and the meaning of invertible I have already told you, that is that means Q should have any inverse, and mod Q not equal to 0. That is the meaning of invertible. So Q is any fixed. Fixed means that is for a particular element. If you consider a particular element, that Q should be fixed. So for x, Q should be fixed, and dqx is equal to Q inverse dx into Q. So this is the definition for an equivalent representation. Now we can check that whether this definition is correct or not. We have already defined that is what is representation. So from that definition we are checking that suppose if you take x as I, then dqi will be Q inverse di into Q. Di is in, we know that. So Q inverse in into Q, that is equal to in. So this is dqy, that is unit matrix. Unit matrix is in. So unit matrix holds in the representation, in the matrix representation. That is one of the representation should be unit matrix. So that is one of the criteria for a representation. And another criteria, suppose if you consider two different elements of the representation. For example, suppose dqx and dqy, and let us find the product of dqx and dqy. Now just we are using the definition of dqx, and from there we are also writing dqy. So you look at the middle portion, there is q inverse, so that will give you I, that is unit matrix. Then there is dx into dy here, but dx into dy, that should be d of xy as per the definition of the representation. Now q inverse d into q inverse d into q, so this will be as per the definition given in 29.5, we can write it as dq of xy. So the product of dqx into dqy, that is dq of xy. So these two criteria of the representation matrix is satisfied. So we can say that this particular definition is correct. Since we can always transform between equivalent representations using a non-singular matrix Q, we will consider such representations to be one and the same. I am again reading this sentence, that is, we can always transform between equivalent representations, that is, transformation is possible using a non-singular matrix Q. So using a non-singular matrix Q, the transformation between the equivalent representations is possible. That is why such representations can be denoted as one and the same, and I will make you clear the meaning of the sentence later. Now despite the similarity of words in equivalent representations and equivalence relation, these two particular concept is different. That is, equivalent representation and equivalence relations are different. So two representations which are equivalent as per the definition given above does not constitute an equivalence relation. We have already discussed about equivalence relation. Some criteria should be satisfied to hold the equivalence relation. We have already discussed in our earlier lectures. So I request you to listen those lectures again. Then it will be clear, that is why two representations which are equivalent does not constitute an equivalence relation. For example, the reflexive property does not hold for a general fixed matrix Q. If the matrix Q is fixed for a element x, then the reflexive property does not hold for a general fixed matrix Q. However, if Q were not fixed but simply restricted to belonging to a set of matrices that themselves form a group, in that case the definition 29.5 would constitute an equivalence relation. So as Q is fixed, that is why reflexive property does not hold, and equivalent matrix and equivalence representation is different. But if Q were not fixed, in that case those two concepts would be same. The general invertible matrix Q that appears in the definition of equivalent matrices describes changes arising from a change in the coordinate system. So what is the role of Q? Q describes changes arising from a change in the coordinate system, and I will show you that is how it occurs. As before, suppose that the effect of an operation x on the basis functions is represented by the action of mx. What is mx? We have already discussed, that is, mx is the representation matrix which is equal to transpose of D. So what is the role of mx? Actually, mx operates on a particular basis vector and some new basis vector is obtained. For example, suppose u is the basis vector, and if mx operates on u, then we can obtain u prime. So u prime is equal to mx into u is equal to dtx into u. Now the change of basis is defined in this way. Suppose u is a particular basis vector, and if the matrix Q operates on u, then we are obtaining u q. So here there is a change of basis. So UQ is equal to Q into U. So what is the relation between the two basis vectors? So the relation is given by in this way: UQ is equal to Q into U, and UQ prime is equal to Q into U prime, and we may write UQ prime. So this one UQ prime, we may write Q into U prime. Now what is U prime? U prime is mx into U. We have written that mx into U, that is equivalent to actually dtx into U, and for U we are writing in this way from this relation, that is we are writing U as Q inverse of UQ, Q inverse of EQ, that is we are writing for U. Now you look at the relation 29.6 and 29.7. Here the relation between U prime and U is given by this, that is U prime is equal to dtx of U. And in 29.7 the in terms of new basis vector, UQ prime is equal to Q into dtx into Q inverse into UQ. So actually these two relations are equivalent or same. If we write the right hand side in this way, you see that UQ prime is equal to, we are writing the right side in this fashion, that is dt suffix q to x into UQ. So 29.8 gives the relation between UQ prime and UQ, that is for the new basis vectors, the relation is UQ prime is equal to dt x into UQ, where D of QT, that is transpose of this particular matrix is this one, we are writing in this way, dqtx is equal to this will be actually inverse of this one, because dt is q dt q inverse d transpose. So d will be actually transpose of this one, so we are writing in this way, that is qt inverse dx into qt. So this is dqtx, and this particular representation is related to dx by a similarity transformation. You could see if you look at the definition 29.5, then you check that dqx. What is dqx? Dqx is the equivalent representation of dx. So how dqx is related to dx? Dqx is equal to q inverse dx into q. Now we have changed the basis vectors, and now we have shown that dqtx is equal to qt inverse dx into qt. So this is another representation. If dqx is equivalent representation for the dx, then dqtx, this is also another representation corresponding to dx, which is given by similarity transformation, qt inverse dx into qt. That means dqtx represents the same linear transformation as dx, but with respect to a new basis vector uq. This supports our contention that the representations connected by similarity transformations should be considered as the same representation. Earlier we have focused on this sentence, and I told that I will make it clear later. So this is the reason when we have changed the basis function, then we again obtained a new representation, that is dqt of x, which is connected with dx by a similarity transformation, and this representation is related to dx with this particular similarity transformation. Now let us consider one example. So suppose we consider the 4 element abelian group. We have already discussed about this group, that is 1, I, minus 1 and minus I. So this is the 4 element abelian group. So under ordinary multiplication we have considered this group, and for this particular group we considered the basis vector u is equal to 1i transpose. So this was the basis vector, and we have calculated the different representation for this particular group. we have calculated representation corresponding to the element 1 corresponding to the element I, minus 1 and minus I, and in the beginning of the lecture we have already discussed about the representation matrix for each of the element for this particular group. Now in this particular problem, what we are doing, we are changing the basis vector u to uq, which we have discussed here. That is, the relation between u and uq is provided by this relation. Uq is equal to q into u. So we are changing the basis vector from u to uq. So uq is given by this. Now what is our aim? Our aim is to find the real transformation matrix Q. So we are going to find the real transformation matrix Q, and we are also going to find, that is dqt, that is equivalent representation dqt, and we have to show that dqt is given by this, and dt into eq is equal to I into eq. We have to show that. So these are our tasks. So now we will consider this particular tasks. So suppose uq is given by this. Now we are writing the new basis vector. This is the new basis vector. Now I have already told you, that is the relation between uq and u is given by this. Uq is equal to q into u, and we are considering that is q is a, b, c, d. So this is uq, this is q into u, this is u. That is the old basis vector. Now we can solve the matrix equation very easily, and solving we are obtaining q, then we are finding q inverse, because these two matrices are necessary. Now we can find the transpose of dqt. The transpose of dqt, you see the relation, that is this one, that is we are going to find q into dt into q inverse, this one. So this one is given by d of t, that is transpose of d. So now we are going to find this one. So q into dt into q inverse. So now dt in bracket we are writing as I. I means that is representation matrix corresponding to I. Now we have already evaluated the representation matrix corresponding to I, and we have to take transpose of this. Now what is di? Just in the beginning of the lecture we have already discussed that this is di, that is representation matrix corresponding to I. Just we have to make a transpose of this particular matrix. Now let us see it again. So for dti we are writing this one. So after evaluating we are obtaining this value, but this value is the transpose of dqt. So dqt, only dqt will be transpose of this one. So in our question we have to show that dqt is equal to this one. So you see this matrix, if you make a transpose, then they are same. So dqt will be just transpose of this one, and again we have to show that is dt into uq is equal to I into eq. Now let us write dt. So this one is dt, and uq we have already this is uq is given to us. So this is uq. Now just multiply the two matrices. So this matrix will be obtained. Take I common, and after taking I common, this is again uq. So we can write the right hand side as I into eq. So as required. So now we have solved the question. So although we will not prove it, but it can be shown that any finite representation of a finite group of linear transformations that preserves spatial length is equivalent to a representation in which all the matrices are unitary. Actually the representations that we have considered that may be consist of some unitary matrices. So those representations are known as unitary representations. We will discuss about the unitary representations in subsequent lectures, but in this particular lecture we have discussed about the equivalent representations, and I think you have understood it For further understanding, I request you to go through the textbook of Mathematical Methods for Physics and Engineering by Riley, Hobson and Benz, and thank you for listening the lecture.